Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we got the official season 2 update in Warzone, Modern Warfare 3, and Modern Warfare Zombies. It does require a full-on download, so you'll have a significant title update to go through before you're able to jump on. But we already have all the patch notes. They went live pretty early today for multiplayer, Zombies, and Warzone. So we're going through all the details, all the changes here as we get into everything. If you enjoy the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And of course, if you're new here or you simply have not subscribed yet, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But we're starting here first on the multiplayer side of things. We'll then bleed into Zombies and then into Warzone as well. So obviously last week we got the roadmap. We know all about this by now. We've got some new maps, Stash House, which actually has a Breaking Bad Easter egg. If you didn't know, Breaking Bad's my all-time favorite show, but there's actually a pizza on the roof of the garage of this, which is an awesome little Easter egg and you know, reference to Breaking Bad there. Vista, which looks beautiful. Departures is really cool. Das House is coming in season, is like a revamped different version of that on top of a skyscraper. We also have a new war map debuting as well. There's a couple of new modes, horde points returning, team gun game, snipers only is coming in season, Jugger Mosh, where everyone's a juggernaut's coming in season, bounty is returning in season as well. We got some new weapons that we'll be breaking down with the best class setups and whatnot probably later today, so stay tuned for that. Pending any game breaking updates, hopefully everything's nice and smooth with this. We also have some new aftermarket parts that we've covered previously. The new perk in multiplayer, the Ninja Vest, which is basically exactly what it sounds like it'd be. Eliminates footsteps. You're immune to movement reduction effects. You also get a bonus shuriken and throwing knife ammo, and they resupply every 25 seconds. It's going to be a powerful vest. Like, I fully expect a lot of players to spam that and run that. We also got some new operators debuting. Rick Grimes is in the battle pass, so is Lastwell, so is John Doe for Black Cell. Michonne's also coming in season. We've got plenty of new events happening throughout the season as well. Starting first with Horde Hunt. We'll have some cool information to break down with this a bit later on into the week. We also then get into some global updates, and there are some big ones. So I was actually able to sit in on a call previewing season 2 earlier this week, and we've got some pretty significant gameplay updates taking place. So, prompted by player feedback and internal review, these changes intend to improve the precision and responsiveness of aiming, particularly while using a mouse, although these changes will also be observed regardless of if you're on mouse or controller. So, ADS idle sway. While a player is aimed down sights, idle sway is active. This mechanic discourages players from holding their sights for an extended period of time. It's that sway motion that's constantly active. It adds RNG into a fight. ADS idle sway now initiates shortly after aiming down sights rather than immediately, introducing a delay to the sway of curve that is generally 5 milliseconds long but varies by weapon. It does not include sniper rifles though. Idle sway is constantly active on those. After the initial delay, ADS idle sway now gradually increases over a 3-second period before reaching peak speed, rather than beginning at full speed upon ADSing, snipers again not included. ADS idle sway now consistently begins from the position of the player's hipfire crosshair rather than along a sway curve. So whenever you ADS, you are going to ADS precisely on where your hipfire center dot is. So having that center dot on there is extra important now, but that's a huge note there to make players more accurate in general. These changes ensure that with fast reflexes and precise aim, those aren't disadvantaged the moment they aim down sights. So this is going to be a big update for sure for aiming across the board. Hipfire crosshair sway is also being removed. Hipfire crosshair will no longer sway from the center of the screen while the player moves or rotates the camera. So it's just going to be centered at all times, whether you're spinning at 20 sensitivity or at 2 sensitivity. It's always going to stay constant and just helps out with your aiming in general there. Weapon bullet trajectory is now truly aligned with the hipfire crosshair and thus the center of the player's screen. These are rewarding skillful aim. Looking ahead, please take some time to adjust these changes and let us know how you feel. We'll continue to monitor your feedback as we determine our next steps. So definitely some big aiming updates there in general. So customization in here, fix several instances of charms and stickers not displaying correctly. For UI and UX, new features and adjustments. Added a weekly category to the challenges widget in the lobby view, so it's just easier to find those weekly challenges for all your aftermarket parts and weapons and whatnot. Detailed stat comparisons are now available for base weapons in the gunsmith. They decreased the kill feed line duration a little bit. They decreased the kill feed line fade duration as well. The event category is now displayed first in the weapon camos. For bug fixes, new item breadcrumbs will now be cleared upon hovering over when using a controller. Platform exclusive calling cards will no longer be displayed when unavailable, so you just can't see them straight up. They addressed an exploit with invalid attachment combinations. Pressing button combinations when in the firing range will no longer kick you to the menu. They fixed an issue in which navigation through the weapon select became unresponsive after some time. Resolved a visual bug in which progression for mastery camo challenges was not displayed correctly. They fixed an issue where incoming invitation to join a group would become corrupted at times. An issue where players could not mark favorites in Gunsmith. That's a big one, really annoying if you're using different attachments, so I'm glad that's been updated. Round transition UI will now display correct scores in each round of S&D. Weapon progression viewing prompt no longer be on the incorrect menu. For gameplay bug fixes, they finally addressed the FOV bug, causing an issue for field of view to be set higher than intended. Players no longer dive when using the slide only option on controller, so that's now just not an option whatsoever. Enjoy your no momentum parachutes. I know I will. I'm used to it now, so now I gotta get unused to it. That'll take some time, but that's now been fixed. Decreased delay before health regen begins from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. So you're gonna start regenning in multiplayer faster now. That's a big one. They also increased the health regen rate from 40 HP to 75 HP. So basically now you're no longer gonna be one shot for seconds on end. It's gonna be a lot faster to regen your health and get back up. That's also gonna be a pretty significant change for multiplayer there. We look forward to your feedback on that as we determine our next steps for health regen. For progression, they resolved various issues preventing the following attachments from being unlocked. The ram barrels that have been bugged for some time, the longbow iron sight, the stalker no stock, and then the jack BFB in general. There was a visual glitch with 2 of those showing up. They added missing laser attachments to the gilded camo challenge tracking for marksmans. The breacher drone kills no longer count towards frag challenges. They also resolved an issue in which Juggernaut Recon would not track kills for challenges either. MW2 carry forward maps are now going to be available in the quick play rotation. I've seen a lot of requests and questions about that, so nice to see that that's now fully a thing. They adjusted some unfavorable conditions with spawns on a high rise, updated some hardpoint areas on subbase. Terminal got some new spawn updates. Underpass got some exploitable location updates. Wasteland got some fog updates where the fog would be too thick. We're talking thick with 2 C's there. For modes in private match, they corrected some HUD elements after changing teams in war. They also, with disabling perks via game rules that no longer prevent some blueprints from being usable. For weapons and attachments, decrease the melee lunge distance of all MW3 weapons to align with MW2 standards. There's no advantage there now. Increase the movement speeds of all MW2 weapons to align with MW3 standards. That's pretty significant. Added gun kit control and recoil benefits and tac stance for all weapons. We then get into the multiplayer specific weapon updates. Keep in mind, this does not affect Warzone here. On the 5.56, increase the ADS time a little bit. On the MCW, they increased the ADS time and the sprint to fire time there. Then on the Jack Raven kit, they increased the maximum damage, so it got a buff there, but they decreased the medium damage and the minimum damage alongside the maximum damage range as well. They increased the near to medium damage range, the medium damage range, the headshot damage multiplier, the lower torso multiplier. They also decreased hip fire spread while sliding and decreased recoil and gun kick significantly. Basically, it's going to be a little bit better up close now, but a little bit worse over range there. For battle rifles on the Bass B, they increased the sprint to fire time, so that's going to be slower now. Same deal with the ADS time, and they also increased the hip fire spread minimum there as well. So a couple of nerfs for the Bass B. On the Sidewinder, they increased the bullet velocity. It desperately needs it. They also decreased the recoil and gun kick significantly. Could the Sidewinder finally be usable? Also on the Thunder LMG kit, they increased the delay before the accelerated rate of fire begins to decay. They also decreased the accelerated rate of fire decay in general with the RPM, and then also increased the gun kit control, so that should be a little bit easier to use as well, a bit more predictable. On the TAC V, they increased the maximum damage range, also increased the near to medium damage range, so that'll be a bit more versatile now. On SMGs, on the Striker, they increased the near to medium damage range. That's pretty significant because the Striker was already really good for range in multiplayer. They also increased the medium damage range as well, so solid buffs for the Striker. On the AMR9, they added missing hipfire crosshair that just wasn't showing up on the double barrel kit. On the Wasp 9, they decreased the ADS time, so that's better now. Increased the max damage range, increased the near to medium damage range, just some buffs for the Wasp 9. Then on the aftermarket part, they decreased the ADS time and the movement speed penalties as well. For shotties on the Lockwood 680, the heavy defender barrel, they increased the sprint to fire time penalty, so that's not going to be nearly as fast anymore. On the broadside from MW2, they decreased the sprint to fire and the ADS time. Interesting buffs. LMGs on the Eradicator, they increased the sprint to fire time and the ADS time. On the RAL, they did the opposite and decreased both of those. So TAC Eradicator is slower, RAL is faster. The Icarus sprint to fire is faster. The RPK's ADS time is faster. So nice to see that some MW2 guns are becoming a bit more versatile there. On the MCW 6.8, they decreased the ADS time, all ranges by 18%. That's pretty significant. Decreased the velocity a little bit, the hip fire spread in general there. So MCW gets mainly nerfs with that one. The DM56 decreased the near to medium damage and then also the minimum damage, so DM56 is going to be worse in multiplayer. The Interceptor, they made the sprint to fire slower and the ADS time slower, and they also nerfed the neck multiplier, so Interceptor's worse across the board. The SPR decreased the damage range and then also increased the upper arm multiplier. Damage multiplier increase allows for one-shot kills to the upper arm, so if you hit upper body shots with the SPR now, it should be a one-hit kill. On the Lockwood, they increased the maximum damage but decreased the maximum damage range. Damage increase allows for one-shot kills to the upper torso within that range there initially, so that closest damage range, Lockwood will one-shot to the upper body. LMS, they decreased the intensity of the ADS idle sway, that's pretty solid there. And the SAB 50 increased the maximum damage but decreased the range, again one-shot kills to the upper body in that max range. On the Longbow, they decreased the ADS time, so that's now even more aggressive with the iron sights. I imagine that's going to be spammed in multiplayer. The Signal decreased the maximum damage range. The SPX increased the ADS time. Then we get into the pistols. On the Renetti carbine kit, they decreased the movement speed penalties. The Basilisk from MW2 also got a lot of updates. Increased the maximum damage range, the near to medium damage range, the medium damage range, the far to medium damage range, and the lower torso multiplier. So buffs all across the board to the Basilisk. Damage range increase allows for one-shot kills to the head at a further distance, so just rewarding really good accuracy. For the Stormender, they address issues preventing kill streaks from being destroyed or disabled. For melees, they decrease the lunge distance basically across the board. On the Gutter Knife, the Karambit, the Combat Knife from MW2, the Kodachis from MW2, the Dual Kamas from MW2, and the Pickaxe as well. And then on attachments, oh man, they actually nerfed the Jack BFB. Decreased the gun kit control benefit by 5%. That's not huge. It's still going to be better than everything else there. Decreased the vertical recoil control benefit by 5%. Still better than everything else there. They did add a larger ADS time penalty and a sprint to fire penalty and a strafing penalty as well. They also added in a velocity penalty, so they did actually adjust this. This should apply to Warzone as well. We'll see when we get to those notes, but that's a pretty significant update to the BFB that definitely could make it less enticing than some of the suppressors in certain cases. For field upgrades, the med box, they decreased the deploy time, same deal with the munitions box. On the ACS, objectives can no longer be captured from further vertical distances than intended. The TAC camera got an exploit update. Deployable cover also got an exploit update. Dead silence, they resolved an issue causing activation sounds to be more audible than intended. For kill streaks, the Jug Recon oxygen meter will now display as expected while underwater. The gunship will now be destroyed by a Stormender. We obviously have the ranked play reset, nothing too crazy going on here. They did actually end up removing some maps and adding some maps to the overall rotation here for different modes, so something to take note of if you're actively playing that. The new weapons are going to be restricted here as well. SR tuning is still going to be there and whatnot, so same deal. It's just a seasonal reset. There's new rewards. We've talked about this previously when the season was revealed. We also got some new zombies updates here. New content coming in season because, hey, we've got the zombies theme season and there's no zombies content at launch and only in mid-season, and it's very underwhelming. We're gonna be ranting about this in a future video. Probably it's kind of a joke. They increased the drop chance for ammo pouches in the high threat zone, so you'll get some extra ammo. The season 1 weapons introduced have been added to the loot pool, so you can find season 1 guns in the world now. On the ray gun, the damage has been increased for the base weapon and the pack-a-punched weapon. The projectile speed has also been buffed, and there's reduced player damage now as well, so a buff to the ray gun. They also ended up buffing the Scorcher here as well. Decreased the time between pressing fire and it charging up. The direct impact plasma damage is better. The lingering plasma damage is also better there, so a couple of buffs to some of the wonder weapons. The VR11 will now hit and deal damage to ether worms. The HMR9, they addressed an issue with preventing players from unlocking this if you exfilled with it, so you can now exfil and get this if you're interested. On the crossbow, they addressed an issue preventing players from infilling with the Eros blueprint. In the dual Kodachis, there was also an issue with infilling a blueprint there too, so they've gone through and updated that. The Juggernaut got some various different bug fixes here, an issue where it prevented players from switching weapons, different duplication exploits there, some small things overall, but quality of life updates there. They addressed an issue that prevented the Kawaii Endo dismemberment death effect from appearing if you have that on your guns. For UI and UX, addressed an issue that players took to the Modern Warfare Zombies main menu when attempting to preview a camo when the Stormender was equipped. Then also some plea for help requested prompts. Those will no longer be there if they're inactive. They also added various different crash and stability fixes there. So not many zombies patch notes. Let's jump over to Warzone now. So here globally, we got the new Horde Hunt event. We just talked about these obviously over on the other patch notes. The new Battle Pass is obviously live today. PC updates added the ability to provide for HDR 10 plus gaming feature, which will automatically set some graphics in HDR for this. This feature is now supported with with different 16 series graphics cards and laptops over HDMI if you're interested. Obviously, Fortune's Keep is dropping, got some cool quality of life updates that they previewed here. It's not just POI updates and different things like that. They've made it easier to spot which doors are real. They've updated clutter inside of buildings. I really do like a lot of the quality of life updates that they've added to Fortune's Keep that have been previewed. Very excited to jump in and fully experience this. Obviously, a lot of the POIs got updated there as well. We've covered these previously in our recent reveal updates. Obviously, Ranked Play Resurgence is dropping as well, the first ever Resurgence Ranked Play. Launch matchmaking during the launch period. Skill division restrictions will be relaxed, allowing players to climb into high skill divisions faster than the rest of the population to still find matches. So for the first week or two, if you're Bronze 3, you might be getting into lobbies with Crimson players just because there's not enough definitive Crimson players active yet. So you're going to see a lot of mismatched lobbies, at least for the first couple of weeks. We already know about the rule set. We've covered this previously, obviously. Skill division rating is going to be similar to multiplayer there with SR earn rate. There's also going to be new rewards available in here as well. Different bonus SRs for getting certain kill challenges or assist challenges over the course of a season. So it'll be easier to rank up in this in general. There's also the death fees when you die, since obviously it's Resurgence. It's important to try and play your life there, not just endlessly send into the void because you know you're just going to respawn because your teammate's sitting back. As mentioned, we've got all the different rewards there as well. Competitive integrity, you got to be level 55 to go through and actually play and everything. You can't cheese backouts and whatnot there. There will be SR forgiveness if you end up crashing though. The playlist for this week, so we've got Ranked Play Resurgence trios, obviously on Fortune's Keep. Battle Royale, still going to see solos, duos, trios, and quads. For Resurgence, it's actually just Fortune's Keep. Interesting. Solos, duos, trios, and quads. That's the only basic normal public match playlist for Resurgence this week. We also got Plunder quads on Urzikstan, and then next week things will change up a little bit there. We also have some audio improvements. This will continue the threat-based in-game audio with Ascenders. There's now better volume and distance on those. Parachute audio has been increased. Removed environmental sounds that can be misconstrued as parachutes. Reduced enemy parachute occlusion when firing a weapon. Enemy redeploy drones, player will now hear the intended VO. So that's pretty solid there as well. For gameplay features, we've got the Rogue Signal public event. It's basically a mini game event. It'll spawn in and say, hey, get the most kills or get the most caches opened, and you get some bonus XP and rewards for being first, second, or third for that. There's a squad wipe streak now available on all Resurgence maps. So if you're hunting players, you'll get this squad wipe streak that'll show where you are on the map with flares and just drive a little bit more action to you with that. The eradication contract's coming in season that allows you to go and fight zombies in the bottom of Fortune's Keep in a battle royale match, or a Resurgence match, I should say. Gonna be interesting. We also have the zombies power-ups being added in as well, so you can find these in Resurgence. Double points, full armor, max ammo, a fire sale, a looting spree, Zarkur, which gives you better movement. That'll be really interesting. Then Undead Sight, which highlights enemies, AI, and real, but not through walls. So it's not wall hacks, it just gives you a better visual outline there. For all modes and maps, regen delay, the speed at which you begin to heal after taking damage, has been decreased to 6 seconds, so 1 second earlier you'll start regenning, and the health is increased on regen as well. So similar to multiplayer, but it's not one-to-one there. It is still faster though, so that's pretty important. Ground loot, new builds have been updated in the ground loot. Newer weapons have been added. Existing weapons have received improved builds. That's solid. They also removed several different MW2 weapons that defaulted to burst fire there. So they just want the ground loot to feel fresh and fun there. The Danger Zone TAC map modification. This is going to be on the airstrikes, where it shows you where an airstrike is hitting and what direction it's coming in from. So hopefully you don't get randomly airstriked when you're not expecting it. There will be some skill and some thinking involved now when you're placing those. Do you need to pre-fire it so they don't get the notification in that ping, because it's only going to happen and show up on your minimap if you're in that zone? There's also a banner radius alongside the above. The distance at which players see the warning banner has now extended its range. That's really solid as well, because so many times an airstrike gets called in and there's just no notification of it. You're now also going to show up on the UAV. There's going to be a red outline if you're showing up on an enemy UAV, so it's a bit more clear of, are you hidden or are you not, if you have a UAV in your AO. Auto-equip durable gas mask. Players now auto-equip the durable mask over the regular ones by default. Players can still equip a regular mask if they do manually do that in the backpack. Redeploy drone ping. The location of the ping icon for redeploy drones have been moved to the bottom of the ascender for improved player navigation. Death location highlight. The player's death skull appears upon redeployment and remains there until you land, so it's just easier to see where you died. Sometimes it glitches out and doesn't show up. That's a big one there. Lootable grenade visibility. Loadout markers and smoke grenades are now easier to spot as ground loot. This will match the behavior of the deployable buy station grenades when they're on the ground, because they're slightly elevated, so it's easier to see those. This is a big one here that I'm really excited for. They talked about this in the meeting and I was like, that's a fantastic change. Players will now auto-equip the next available kill streak that is stowed in the backpack if a matching one is not found. So this means that if you have an airstrike in your inventory and it's in like your hotbar, I guess, to toggle and call it in, but then a UAV is also in your inventory, the second that your airstrike is called in, the UAV will automatically be brought up and you don't have to go into your inventory to activate that. So it's just really quick and seamless there, only if the streaks are different though. So that's important there. You can sort of stack streaks to auto queue in your inventory. Live pings are going to fade now when you ADS. That's also really solid, and players can now stow their equipped perk package as well if you want to do that. There's going to be a buy station shuffle, so different buy station locations will be active on Urzikstan now. The number of buy stations has not changed though. Updated the weapon builds for all weapons in the Gulag. That's nice to see. They also decreased the chance of a portable radar and suppression mine in the ground loop by 30%. Those were pretty spammed. Champions Quest progress is resetting with the launch of Season 2. The defuse time has been decreased. Chopper health has been increased. The order of the elements has also changed as well. For Resurgence, the Gulag token has been removed from potential Resurgence loot tables. The dynamic fog system is only present in 8% of games on Vondel now. Then also in the smaller and more dense POIs, there's less loot there, so you're not getting stacked on top of each other with all the guns and everything. We also got a lot of updates for Warzone specific weapons here. Adjustments to the core attributes of weapons in Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. So the idle sway changes from multiplayer also apply to Warzone. Very, very significant there. Keep in mind, sniper rifles are not affected. The crosshair hipfire sway, where it's not moving, is also applied to Warzone. Take some time to get used to these. New weapons, we obviously got the BP-50 and the Ram 9 now available. The SOA subverters coming in season. The Soul Render's also coming in season. Then we got all of our aftermarket parts repeated yet again. So with weapon adjustments, we reduced the recoil on all weapons while in tac stance. That's pretty significant. A number of improvements have been made to MW2 weapons. For MW2 assault rifles, they increased the movement speed while aiming down sights. For MW2 battle rifles, they increased the movement speed while aiming down sights and while crouched. For MW2 marksmans, they increased the movement speed while ADSing and crouched. LMGs increased the movement speed while ADSing, crouching, and strafing. Snipers increased the movement speed while ADSing, crouching, and strafing as well. So MW2 weapons will be a little bit faster now. For assault rifles, Ram 7, mid damage slightly nerfed, minimum damage slightly nerfed. So the long range and the mid range on the Ram is now going to be worse. Kind of a bummer because it was like the go-to rifle and it was one of the few that could actually compete. The MCW, they increased the ADS time and the sprint to fire time. So the MCW getting a nerf. Okay, it didn't really need that because it's not a great weapon. Holger 556 ADS nerf as well. The Geist headshot multiplier reduced, upper torso multiplier buffed, arm and hand multiplier buffed. So the Geist will be a little bit better if you're hitting body shots, a little bit worse if you're hitting headshots. For battle rifles, the BAS-B, no surprises here. Its close range damage was nerfed. Its sprint to fire was nerfed. ADS time was nerfed. Hip fire was nerfed. Basically, that sniper support build for the BAS-B, not going to be viable anymore. It's going to be a long range weapon exclusively. On the MTZ-762, semi-auto damage override has been removed. It now does the same damage in full auto as it does in semi-auto. That's significant because the MTZ-762 in semi-auto was by far the fastest killing gun in the game, so that just doesn't exist now. On the Sidewinder, they buffed the bullet velocity, decrease the control, basically the same updates that we saw over in multiplayer here as well. So it'll be a little bit better now. I still think it's probably going to be a tad bit underwhelming, but certainly usable to a certain extent and better than it was before. The HMR9 max damage range was reduced by about 4 meters or so there, so it'll still be great for damage, but its range is not going to be as great in that close range area. The WASP-9, the max range was actually buffed. Near to mid damage range was buffed. They decreased the ADS time, and then they also decreased the ADS and the movement penalties on the aftermarket part. That's a solid buff for the WASP-9. It'll be a bit more aggressive now with better range, which it was already really good for. For shotties, the 680 mid damage was reduced, and then also on the long barrel, that sprint to fire penalty was added as well, so significant nerf there on the 680. On the Haymaker, the Dragon's Breath rounds, the range has been decreased, and the near to mid damage range has been decreased, so that's just worse all around. The Riveter, the near to mid damage range was also reduced there. Then on the Incendiary, max damage range decreased, near to mid damage range decreased. Hopefully that gets rid of some of the fire shotgun spam. On the Bryson 680 from MW2, damage range, mid damage range nerf. nerfed there. The broadside, they actually made the sprint to fire and ADS better here as well. On the Lockwood 300 Dragon's Breath, max range was nerfed, then also the near to mid damage range was nerfed. Then on the Guardian, Dragon's Breath range nerfed here as well. So all shotguns with Dragon's Breath or fire rounds were nerfed for the close and the mid range, hopefully limiting that spam. On the Pulemiot, the Jack Annihilator Bullpup kit that everyone uses, near to medium damage has been set at 32, near to medium damage range set at 38 meters. Then also minimum damage was reduced by 4, so its long range damage is going to be even worse now. Interesting changes to the Bullpup there with the conversion kit. That might actually drop it down a pretty decent amount, all things considered, with a new mid-range damage value, and then also its long range not being better. You know, that was already kind of problematic. It was sort of dwindling down as is, so that's just adding, you know, a little bit more emphasis there as like a mid-range only option. On the Evolver, the max damage was actually buffed a lot for close range. The range was reduced though. Near to mid damage is there, new mid damage range as well. Then also the minimum damage was buffed a decent amount too. So hopefully the Evolver actually does some damage now. That'd be nice to see. The Eradicator, they increased the sprint to fire time twice. Okay. On the Icarus, they decreased the sprint to fire time. Morale decreased the sprint to fire in the ADS time. RPK decreased the ADS time there. So LMGs are a little bit more balanced now in general. I mean, really what this to me does is highlight the Holger 26, and then also the DG is some really good choices there, and also the Bruin as well. For marksmans here, the Enforcer, they decreased the headshot multiplier. That's solid. On the Interceptor, they made the sprint to fire and the ADS slower and decreased the neck multiplier. That's solid. MCW 6.8, they decreased the velocity, the hip fire spread, and the aim down sight time. So some nerfs there, but also a slight buff to the ADS. LMS reduced the idle sway a little bit there. Crossbow, the neck damage multiplier has been buffed, lower limb damage multiplier is buffed. We standardized the hit locations of the crossbow by making the profile more even and widening the one-shot location there to the neck and head, so you can get a better one-shot with the crossbow. For snipers, the Stalker, now one shot down to the head within its maximum damage range. All right, okay. So it's going to be a more aggressive quick scope one shot. Max damage range is 50 meters by base. You can extend that with certain barrels. That's a big one though for aggressive snipers. I love that. Longbow, the minimum damage has been reduced, but it's also got a faster ADS time. The signal near to mid damage range was also nerfed. The SPX increased the ADS time, so that's a little bit slower now. The Renetti Ferocity Carbine Kit reduced the movement speed penalties. On the Wasp Stinger, the max damage was buffed, the near to mid damage was buffed, the minimum damage was buffed, so that's better across the board. The Deagle from MW2's max damage was increased. The Basilisk from MW2 lower torso multiplier was also buffed there. For melees, they again decreased the lunge distance of basically all the MW2 melees and MW3 melees listed. They also did the same nerfs on the Jack BFB, so they made the gun kick control benefits worse, the vertical control benefits worse, made it a slower ADS, a slower sprint to fire, a slower strafe, and added more velocity penalties. This does mean that you, in some cases for long range, probably want to use a suppressor just because you don't want to kill that velocity there. We'll have to see how that affects certain weapons. You might need to change out to like high grain or something there. Could be interesting. Several perk descriptions have been updated. The spacing of perks on the HUD has also been increased a little bit more, so they're a bit more spread out. Flex perk revised the audio levels. Hopefully that's not a bad nerf and you can still hear footsteps. Irradiated or irradiated will now reduce gas damage a little bit more, allows players to replace armor plates while in the gas. That's a little more valuable than it was before for sure. Battle Hardened will now show the resist icon for the kill streak owner when a player resists the Guardian. Quick Fix will now correctly begin regenerating health when a player inserts a plate. Shrouded, the deployed smoke grenade, has a slight randomized offset so that it's not deployed directly on top of you, so it's not as powerful there. For equipment, the Claymore, following a related bug fix, players can now expect the following damage values. Close damage is 170, far is 100. C4 velocity throwing has been increased, so you can throw it further now, basically. The charge can now be thrown between 5 to 15 meters based on the type of throw. That's solid. I'll never forget OG Warzone C4s that were so good. Breacher Drone, close damage has been nerfed a decent amount there. The Frag, close damage has been buffed. Mid damage has been buffed. Far damage has been buffed. So, interesting here. At launch, the Frag was incorrectly dealing very high damage across MW3 and Warzone, but they buffed it. This created some problematic engagements in Battle Royale and was temporarily fixed. With this update, we've properly branched the damage values to the Warzone users so that Warzone uses its own tuning, and we have increased its damage back up to a position that allows it to be effective. Got it. So the Frag is gonna be better. I thought it was even good while it was nerfed, honestly, so that's gonna be a really good choice. The mask health was reduced a little bit. The duration of the durable was also reduced a tad bit as well. We then get bug fixes. Incoming just spam. Fixed an issue causing a 4th melee hit to instantly down a 2nd target. An issue with several geography issues, including where you are doing some excavating near the historic Urzixan Plateau, hopefully also the random cities appearing. Fixed various collision issues. An issue causing the battle-hardened hit marker to not appear when it's being activated. An issue where vehicles are not taking the intended amount of damage from lethals. An issue where ultimate perks are not being correctly removed and reset when switching perk packages. An issue where hovering over an active mosquito drone on the TAC map did not have a name. An issue that prevented players' death icons from appearing. An issue preventing a player from seeing their death icon again in the gulag. An issue causing the ammo caches on Plunder to have lower cooldowns. An issue allowing a player to respawn after their Surgeon's countdown ended. An issue causing the loot crate icon on the scavenger to not appear. An issue causing multiple of the same field upgrade to spawn next to each other. An issue with the collision issues on the cash drop crate. An issue that would cause performance issues on the TAC map, an issue with the pinging on the enemy loadout crate, an issue where a mushroom cloud could be visible in the victory cinematic even though the nuke was defused, an issue causing the nuke icon to be visible in the gulag, an issue preventing players from joining a private match after receiving an invite, an issue with the riot shield clipping through a player in the exfil scene, an issue with the champion's quest disappearing in the gulag, an issue UI issue with the resurgence timer, an issue causing an operator to appear visible in the exfil scene, an issue with the go again gulag event, an issue preventing players from going down the fire station tower stairs, an issue with incorrect accolades appearing, an issue that incorrectly details how much money a redeploy pack was giving you, an issue causing the rarity of mortar strikes to be displayed incorrectly in the backpack, an issue where a red skull icon would overlap with money, an issue preventing a cooldown on request pings, an issue preventing ATV and PWCs from automatically exploding, an issue that caused gas masks to be damaged when bought from a buy station. That would suck, you're getting scammed. An issue in Plunder causing the cash deposit balloon to display the incorrect amount of money being deposited, an issue preventing the favorite icon from appearing on a favorited loadout, an issue that caused the EMP kill streak to be displayed incorrectly, an issue causing the black site keys to spawn when there is no black site. Breathe. And that being said, those are all the patch notes, significant across the board. By the time this video is out, season 2 will be probably slowly rolling out. 9 a.m. Pacific is the full launch time. Cross our fingers it doesn't break the game, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Is this a solid update? Do you like the changes? If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.